Terrified of a nearby factory's gas leak, teenagers on vacation must lock themselves inside a house for safety. In a bar in Cape Cod, Georgia Page, a wealthy student excitedly talks about graduating in 3 weeks and leaving the island. She looks forward to going elsewhere because she is frustrated about constantly being labeled the poison page, due to suspicion about her father's mysterious factory. There's a fear it might explode and poison everyone. Regan, the rich teen's best friend, laughs and playfully suggests that Georgia's father might be creating zombie rage gas or chemical weapons. In response, the rich student brings up that people believe a leak will release gas that can make others mad. Her best pal playfully considers it, saying Georgia must have already been exposed to it. Their conversation suddenly cut off as fog emerges from the bar's kitchen, prompting everyone to evacuate. Paige assumes there's a fire, but Regan notes no smoke smell. However, it turns out that everything is just a prank by Robbie and Jimmy. They release fog to make everyone think the Page plant finally blew up. Annoyed, Georgia punches them for making fun of her father's plant and tricking everyone. Later, Regan suggests that the prankster should pay for everyone's tabs. As they exit the bar, the rich teen has the car keys to her best friend, allowing her to drive the luxurious car. Upon arriving at Regan's house, they discuss their upcoming staycation at the secluded vacation home owned by Regan's uncle. The rich teen initially hesitates to go, mentioning that her father's mysterious plant is near the place. Eventually she agrees, but knows that they must take the long way. Suddenly, their conversation shifts to Georgia's love life. Regan advises her friend to spend a romantic time with her boyfriend during their vacation. However, the wealthy student believes it's not a good decision. Suspecting they'll break up soon after they start attending separate schools, Regan insists again, noting that George has been with JK for 9 months. Her friend admits that she has already had some attempts with her boyfriend, but they didn't work out. Later, the duo goes to the secluded vacation home. Upon arriving, Regan goes behind the house to look for the keys under her uncle's fake rock, leaving Georgia in fear. After getting them, she surprises her friend on June. Georgia's boyfriend JK arrives along with their friends, Cassie and Blake. Blake informs his friends inside the vacation house that they've heard about what Georgia did with the pranksters. They also share a laugh upon discovering that Robbie and Jimmy ended up covering everyone's tabs. As a result of their prank, upon hearing this, George is concerned that the duo might devise more ways to torment her for revenge. However, her best friend assures her that neither of the bullies will bother her after graduation. She also informs everyone that the cell reception in the area is poor as she and Georgia are about to share a toast. Tanner and Chelsea, another couple, arrive. Upstairs, Cassie and Blake share a romantic moment. Shortly after, the teen looks out the window and spots a mysterious orange fog in the distance accompanied by a blaring siren. They swiftly joined everyone downstairs, heading outside to see the strange cloud in the distance. Suddenly, Blake takes out his gun, startling Regan. When she gets curious about why he owns one, Between explains that it's because he was once a Boy Scout, which only confuses her. Terrified, Georgia urges everyone to return inside, growing increasingly worried as she sees the fog approaching. Tanner trying to get help but complains about the area's poor cell reception. On the other hand, Cassie expresses that it's a good option to leave immediately. However, Georgia stops her friend, explaining that it's dangerous outside and her father's factory is beyond the trees. JK attempts to calm his girlfriend and then clarify his about their situation. The rich teenage admits she doesn't know what they're dealing with, but senses it's not good. Blake then interrupts, asking about what her family makes in the factory, but Georgia confesses she is clueless, only knowing that whatever it is, it's dangerous. Regan interjects, siding with Cassie and Blake on leaving. Georgia stops her friend, explaining that it's dangerous outside and her father's factory is beyond the trees. JK attempts to calm his girlfriend and then clarify his about their situation. Cassie tries to convince her, emphasizing that leaving before the cloud reaches them is the best solution to avoid meeting their demise. However, the rich teen repeats that exposure to the fog is risky. As the smoke gets closer, Blake urges everyone to leave, but Georgia stops, saying they don't know how far the fog has spread. She suggests sealing the place, but he thinks they could never make it airtight. Eventually, everyone decides to leave, including Georgia, who's initially hesitant. She drives her luxurious car with a Regan. JK goes with Cassie and Blake in his tank, while Chelsea and Tanner are in their automobile. The 3 vehicles speed up to reach the town and escape the mysterious fog. However, after their unsuccessful attempt, they all return to the vacation house except for Tanner and Chelsea. Inside, Regan takes the lead in sealing up the place tightly. She asks Cassie to close the windows upstairs, while she and Blake head to the basement to find tape. Meanwhile, the mysterious fog continues to spread, filling the area. Regan tapes the vans and asks JK to his sister, leading him to place his hands on her waist, which makes Georgia slightly jealous. Blake checks upstairs. There, she's surprised at him and they share a kiss. Soon after, Georgia alerts them to the situation. Outside, Blake starts worrying about what the fog could do to them, and with JK's help, they try to assist Georgia in figuring out what her family specifically produces. JK highlights that Paige plan has never released anything to the market, suggesting it might manufacture a chemical weapons. Suddenly Reagan notices the sirens going off, implying the gas might have affected the people sounding them. However, Georgia reiterates that she doesn't know what her family is making. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted when Chelsea and Tanner knock on the door pleading for it to be opened. Blake becomes defensive, thinking the couple must be infected. Georgia insists on letting them in. But Cassie, Blake and JK disagree. On the other hand, Reagan sides with her best friend, instructing the couple to go to the other door so she can open it for them. However, JK stops her. Unexpectedly, the power goes out. Reagan continues to push for letting their friends inside. Despite Blake's resistance, however, exercising caution, she leaves Tanner and Chelsea in the front hall before heading to the living room. Against George's instructions, Blake insists on not opening the door to their room. He brandishes his gun, intimidating his friends into complying with his command. To stop the group from arguing, Reagan suggests that if there's risk of infection, the couple should stay in the front hall. Tanner disagrees, but Chelsea manages to calm him down. Reagan assures them she won't open the door and also advises Georgia not to do it and urges Blake to drop his weapon. All agreed to stay in separate rooms for a while, and the armed team drinks scotch, emphasizing it could be their last, if the fog ends them all. Upon hearing this, JK reacts and commends his friend for having the chance to at least spend a romantic time with Cassie before a potential demise. Listening to the statement, Georgia senses that her boyfriend wants her to engage in intimacy with him. She starts to complain, emphasizing that JK is still focused on such matters rather than prioritizing their safety, leading to an argument between them. Their other friends chime in, encouraging the wealthy teen to spend a romantic night with her boyfriend. Reagan emphasizes that she should drop her perfectionism, go with the flow and let go of her innocence, without overthinking it. However, Georgia responds that she's unlike her, criticizing her promiscuity. Reagan defends herself, stating that not dating someone in years doesn't define her and seeking affection during difficult times doesn't make her liberated. Suddenly she expresses that if she were in Georgia's situation, she'd consider spending a romantic moment with JK. Hearing this, Georgia cries sarcastically, suggesting that Reagan should go for it if she wants it badly. JK starts to reconsider the offer, but then his girlfriend stops him. He points out that they've been dating for 9 months yet they still haven't slept together. He mentions that they might break up if they go to college and realize that their long-distance relationship doesn't work. Reagan intervenes, informing JK that Georgia shared the same sentiment with her earlier that day, which only disappoints him. Strangely, she invites her best friend's boyfriend upstairs to sleep together, leaving Georgia feeling betrayed. Chelsea sympathizes with her wealthy friend in the front hall, feeling bad for her. However, Tanner's more preoccupied with the possibility of meeting their demise. Soon after, it starts raining outside. Reagan and JK share a moment upstairs while Georgia distracts herself by washing the plates. Later, Cassie attempts to stop her, but the rich teen only becomes stressed out, crushing and throwing the glass, injuring her hand. Upon hearing the noise, Tanner and Chelsea become worried and want to enter, but Blake still won't allow them. After being romantic with JK, Reagan heads downstairs and apologizes to Georgia, stating she is the worst person ever. She admits she doesn't know what came over her and acknowledges that she might be hated forever. She confesses that she feels scared, blaming the fog for making her feel that way. As Georgia listens, she simply cries. Noticing her best friend's wounded hand, she attempts to assist her, but the wealthy teen asks her to back off. Reagan then confesses that she and JK could not go all the way, so she did something else with him. Learning this, angry teen fatally stabbed her best friend in the neck with a shattered glass. JK rushes to Reagan's rescue, but his efforts are in vain. Afterward, he places the distraught and screaming Georgia in a corner. Seeking assistance, he turns to Blake and together they take her to the basement. Fearing potential danger, the duo secures her to a pipe, taping her mouth to prevent further harm. Heading upstairs, Blake suspects that the mysterious fog influenced Georgia and Reagan's actions. Worry sets in for everyone, but JK remains convinced they're not infected when he hears about what happened. Tanner insists on entering, but they still refuse. He then threatens to break the door if they won't let him in, prompting Blake to counter-threaten him with his handgun. Chelsea advises her boyfriend to back off, emphasizing that arguing with their armed friend is not worth it. Later, she notes that while Reagan and Georgia might have been infected, she and her boyfriend are okay and not exhibiting any symptoms. Meanwhile, JK places Reagan's life, less body away. Blake comforts the trembling Cassie, reminding her not to allow Chelsea and Tanner inside. When JK returns, Blake suggests that they should terminate Georgia, but the teen as well as Chelsea and Tanner immediately object to the plan. Because of this, Blake defends that he's the only rational person in the group because their wealthy friend is dangerous and might jeopardize them all. Unbeknownst to them, Georgia manages to break free from the pipe in the basement. Upon hearing the conversation, Chelsea looks at her boyfriend and suggests they do something to intervene. Even if Blake is correct about Georgia, Tanner believes executing her is wrong. His girlfriend agrees and becomes concerned about their safety, because Blake might target them next. Suddenly the couple hears Blake preparing his weapon, prompting Tanner to intervene and stop him from going after their wealthy friend. However, the armed individual only threatens to shoot him. Despite the warning, Tanner persists and pounding the door, prompting Blake to aim and fire. Dodging the gunshot, Tanner grabs a chair and uses it to break the door's windows. Unfortunately, upon his success, Blake shoots again, finally injuring his friend. Chelsea swiftly tends to her boyfriend, who lies on the floor bleeding. Despite his injury, the wounded teenager assures his girlfriend that he is going to be okay, instructing her to stop the bleeding and plug something into the wound. Meanwhile, the paranoid Blake directs JK and Cassie to seal the broken window. After attending to Tanner's wounds, Chelsea argues with Blake, emphasizing that he's the one who initiated the gunfire when she threatened him with a possibility of going to prison for his actions. The shooter dismisses her, accusing her of being deranged. Chelsea then returns to Tanner, attempting to comfort him as he struggles. Meanwhile, the trio panics as the fog situation worsens when Cassie inquires about Georgia. Blake insists they still need to deal with her because it's her fault they're stuck there. However, JK still doesn't want to go with a plan. Unbeknownst to them, the wealthy teen overhears their conversation from the basement. Soon after, Chelsea pleads for assistance as Tanner continues to lose a significant amount of blood. She requests help to carry her boyfriend to the car so she can drive him somewhere for medical attention. However, Cassie objects, warning her friend that going outside could lead to their demise. Upon hearing this, Chelsea insists that those inside the house are in danger, despite their friends begging JK declines to assist, resulting in Tanner's demise, while Chelsea persistently pounds the door seeking help. The annoyed Blake pierces her stomach with a sharp weapon. Injured, the teenager attempts to exit, but stumbles into the water. Desperate to seek help, she tries to reach out to the police when she hears the sirens, but collapses on her way. Suddenly a policeman knocks on the door, but Blake denies them entry, insisting everything is fine. The officer demands to go inside, citing reports of gunshots. When the armed teen is resistant, the cop attempts to break in, readying his gun. However, Blake shoots first, ending the policeman. Observing his partner's demise, the other officer began shooting at the house. Wounding Cassie, Blake shoots into the fog when the windows break, prompting the cop to retreat. After that, he tends to his girlfriend, promising to clean her injury. Suddenly JK warns them that the fog is entering through the window and they must immediately lock themselves at the upstairs bathroom. Later, the other cop enters the house searching for the teenagers. He heads down to the basement, only for Georgia to stab him in the back. They both fall into a wooden wall, breaking it, but the wealthy teen survives. While the trio is locked inside the bathroom, JK wants to go downstairs to check on his former girlfriend. Blake stops him, explaining the danger and admitting he'll hesitate to let him back. In hearing this, JK becomes enraged and pushes his friend, demanding entry upon his return. His friend agrees but asks him to hurry up. Meanwhile, Georgia manages to remove her handcuffs. Soon after, JK arrives in the area and realizes his ex-girlfriend is gone. As he searches for her, she suddenly strikes him with an axe, ending his life in the bathroom. The injured Cassie stays inside the bathtub while Blake guards the area. Suddenly he hears the door rattling. It turns out that Georgia is repeatedly striking the wall with her axe to come after them. Terrified, Blake readies his weapon. As the rich teen creates an opening, she enters the bathroom. Blake demands her to stay back, but she strikes him with a weapon, letting Cassie witness the gruesome scene. After that, Georgia turns to her wounded friend, smashing her head in a toilet and finishing her off with a tank cover. Upon hearing Blake's groans, she picks up the gun, attempting to use it on him. Realizing it doesn't have ammunition, she places it in his mouth, but he suddenly collapses. After the brutal events, Georgia heads downstairs and relaxes with a bottle of liquor, reminiscing about when her friends discussed about executing her. Subsequently, she takes JK's keys and gets inside her ex-boyfriend's car. As the team prepares to drive off, Jimmy and Robbie, both wearing hoodies, pass by. She then gets out of the car and they're surprised to see her, especially when they notice she's covered in blood. Concerned, the duo asks her what happened and she responds by telling Jimmy that he got his wish. Her father's factory leaked, causing everyone to go mad. Upon hearing this, Robbie disputes her claim, stating that no leak had occurred. His friend scans the area, wondering where the cops are. However, Georgia discloses that everyone, including the police, met their demise, except for her. Shocked by this revelation, the pranksters confess their involvement, admitting they orchestrated the fake fog using rented machines they bought online. Robbie, realizing the gravity of their actions, apologizes. However, Georgia retaliates by striking them both with a sharp kitchen tool. After ending the duo, she drives off, convinced that she has given everyone the Fog City they desire. Subscribe for more such content.